Star Trek Lower Decks is finally getting some exciting ratings reports coming in from the Canadian market. We also got a bunch of new quick little updates regarding Strange New Worlds and Star Trek Discovery Season 4. Let's pour it up! Hey everybody, Ketwolski here, checking out another one of our hashtag Earl Grey Pour Up video discussions. So we've got just a couple of really quick news stories for you guys here today that I want to go ahead and talk about. So the very first one is a few of the ratings reports that we have received from the Canadian market for Star Trek Lower Decks. So for the very first episode, the show did top in at the top 30 marker for Numeris, which directly connects to the CTV Sci-Fi ratings. This is the broadcast regular vanilla television ratings. It did premiere up there. It was the only Sci-Fi Plus television show to do that. And of course, it beat out its key demographic market for the age group that it was targeting, which was the 18 to 24 group. And for that specific time slot on that Thursday/Friday, depending on which day you're kind of looking at it there, they do a entire 7-day block window for those rating windows for the top 30 there. So that was the accumulation of all of that information based off of DVRs and playbacks and things like that. So that was just for the broadcast. Now Crave, which is the primary way that people consume, these kinds of contents in Canada, which is the streaming service, had Star Trek Lower Decks premiering in at number 3, and then it slid up to the second place spot and has continued to be in the second place spot for the third episode. So this show apparently has had a good audience turnout inside of the streaming app Crave. It is in the top 10, obviously in the second place of the top 10 most watched content for the entire country. That's for the entire country. The broadcast version of it, though, did note that it did drop off of the top 30 for the second episode. We don't have information regarding episode 3 just yet. Of course, I will update you guys in regards to that, but this definitely flies in the face of a lot of the rumors regarding Star Trek Lower Decks, this whole situation with low ratings and everyone was turning away from it and it wasn't really working out. Clearly, that is not the case based off of the information that we're getting from Crave and for the first episode of Numeris. There is, of course, a small amount of information that was related to that, is that there was a drop-off from the broadcast focus of Lower Decks based off of the second episode. But obviously, we're going to continue to track this story as it continues to go through the entire first season, all 10 episodes. We have quite a few more episodes to go, and we'll kind of be able to see if it kind of ebbs and flows throughout time. But based off of what we've seen, Crave definitely seems to be the home for this show, which makes sense when you consider that it's an animated show. It doesn't necessarily have mass audience appeal. It is a Star Trek show, but that's only going to pull in a certain amount of people. It's not going to necessarily get everyone, including just Star Trek fans. So you're going to have the people that hate it no matter what, and you're going to have the people that aren't interested in it just because it's an animated show and they're not really particularly excited about comedy and Star Trek, so they kind of just put it off to the side and they'll watch one of the other more live action shows. So obviously, in comparison to Discovery Picard, this show hasn't been doing great in comparison to those shows, but for an animated show and being in the broadcast and streaming area, it has been doing really well. Obviously, we'd like it to see it be doing even more. We'd like it to get in the top 10 on the streaming 30s there, or excuse me, the broadcast 30s there. But, this is really interesting numbers. For a first season show, these are good, solid numbers, in my personal opinion. If you look at a lot of the other animated show previews that they've had over on Crave and the CTV Sci-Fi Plus channel, there hasn't been this kind of a turnout for a traditional new show. Like a lot of the reruns from previously popular shows are obviously going to continue to rise up past it, but this is a pretty decent turnout so far. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and continue to track this kind of figure number hunting game throughout the rest of the first season, and we'll kind of do a big discussion about it at the end. Okay, guys and gals, so that does wrap up our news regarding Star Trek Lower Decks. Now I want to talk about Strange New Worlds and Star Trek Discovery Season 4. So some of you may remember that I have been theorizing very heavily that Star Trek Discovery Season 4 is not only going to be happening very soon, but it's also going to be announced sometime in October. This does coincide with a lot of the ways that CBS has announced their previous renewals for television shows, specifically Star Trek Discovery. I got a whole video on that, theory stuff I'll link up here above so you can kind of see the background on this. And this is kind of a continuation of that same exact story. So we have a little bit of information about Discovery and a little bit of information about Strange New Worlds. So both of these shows have recently appeared in the DGC Hot List. Now, of course, this is the Directors Guild of Ontario, Canada. This is their hot list for different productions that are rolling or about to start rolling inside of the Ontario area. So this is a very legitimate resource that I utilize, that a lot of professionals utilize, and it, of course, lists Star Trek Discovery and Strange New Worlds as both of them starting production fairly soon. But I don't want to get too much into the production dates just yet, because Strange New Worlds has also popped up with Green Harvest, which is the code name for Star Trek Discovery, on the IATSE website, which is a lot of the, I guess you could say like the stagehands and the production folks and like a lot of the builders and stuff like that. They use that website, from what I understand, as a way to kind of keep track of productions, and they have both appeared on their website as well. The IATSE website has been extraordinarily reliable with their information. They typically are one of the last ones to get updated. The DGC Hot List and kind of Production Weekly are kind of more updated a little bit more frequently, and and they're kind of, I guess, I don't want to say flippant with what they throw on there, but they're a little bit more loose in their guidelines as to necessarily how they just throw things on there. So you want to kind of put all of those bits, those data points together to kind of formulate an assumption and kind of a theory based off of that available info. And the IATSE website is really just kind of that final nail in the proverbial coffin of any rumors regarding a cancellation of Star Trek Discovery. It's not going to get canceled. It is very clearly going to be announced in production here. Now, Strange New Worlds has also gotten a production date as well. Now, what's interesting here is that the production dates on the IATSE website do not match the production dates on the Directors Guild hot site. So there's a couple of different reasons for that whole situation. Now, it could just be different people are needing different bits of information about when they should specifically start to look for their jobs, because again, the listings themselves are relatively different in terms of who their target audiences are. But the bottom line is that the overarching construct here is that Strange New Worlds is likely going to be happening sometimes towards the end or the very beginning of next year in terms of filming, with Star Trek Discovery kicking off either very shortly, very soon, or probably in that October timeframe that I originally talked about. So this is really great news for those of you who are really big supporters of Star Trek and love Star Trek and want to see more Star Trek content, and also want the return of Captain Pike. A lot of folks have been theorizing that the Captain Pike show at Strange New Worlds isn't going to happen at all. This is clearly another key nail in that coffin, that rumor is also BS. This is obviously moving forward with all haste, and we're going to be getting a lot more, I think, formal announcements regarding Star Trek here in the near future. Okay, so the last little bit of news really, again, kind of goes back to Star Trek Discovery. Interestingly enough, CBS has decided to air Star Trek Discovery on broadcast CBS television. They're going to be starting it up here. I want to say it's going to be in like September, like the end of September, something like that. And then it's going to run all the way through its entire first season. It's kind of weird to do that just because I think most people have seen Discovery Season 1. And the people that have seen it are not interested in seeing it necessarily again. It was not the better of the two. That's a general consensus. It happens to also be my opinion, but that is a general consensus, is that Season 2 is better than Season 1 of Discovery. So it's kind of weird that they decided to do that. I think that the intention is to try to figure out a way to kind of get people more excited and review a little bit more about what's going on with Discovery, to kind of bring in a bit more of a new audience. But honestly, I don't think you're going to be able to really do anything with that, because anyone that was put off of watching Star Trek Discovery up to, if you haven't watched it at this point, you've already heard plenty of people complain about it, either in your office, in your home, with your friends, on the internet. You've heard a lot of complaints about it, so they're probably not going to tune in and suddenly say to themselves, well, golly gee, I better sign up for that CBS All Access account and go watch Seasons 2 and then Season 3 that just comes out. I don't really understand it. I mean, of course, it probably costs them nothing, and they're making money off of the advertisement space, so sure, why not? But in terms of it being really impactful for the franchise and us to be seeing numbers like gangbusters, I do not expect to see that. In fact, I think it's probably going to do really poorly, and it may make the franchise look a little weak. So we'll see what happens there. It is kind of an interesting idea, but I did want to go ahead and throw my ideas about that out there for you guys. Anyways, guys and gals, that does wrap up my Earl Grey pour-up video for this week. I apologize for taking a little bit longer period of time. I'm a little bit busy going to work now like a regular human being on a full-time basis, so it's kind of taking up a little bit more of my time, but I'm going to continue up at least 2 videos a week. So we're going to have this video, of course, with the Earl Grey pour-up, and then we're going to have the Lower Decks reviews at the end of the week, usually again on Fridays. And you can also kind of look to me to see me on like a live stream, usually on the weekends. So look around to different channels, different Trek channels. I'm usually on different people's channels, kind of popping around. So you'll be able to interact with me live there. And then maybe eventually we'll finally start to get live streams going here on this channel. I don't know if you guys really want that or you guys care at all. I don't know. I guess you could let me know what you think about it in the comments. And let me know what you think about all this news regarding Star Trek in the comments. What do you think about the ratings for Lower Decks? What do you think about the final bit of real confirmation regarding Discovery Season 4? We already had Alex Kurtzman talk about it. Now we've got this IATSE website stuff. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about the production announcement for Strange New Worlds? Do you think that's going to be accurate, or do you think they're going to be pushing that back due to COVID? What do you guys think? Throw up your comments up down below, and we'll go ahead and get the conversation started. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!